I did not have sex with that woman.
Politics as usual.
I wanted to.
Man of the Year.
All right. I love that the first thing that you heard when the movie opens up is you hear way off in the background, "Okay, everyone, turn off your cell phones and pagers." Was that intentional, or is that just a little...
Well, I mean, it wasn't intentional because there was a show about to take place, and that's what you have to do.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's pretty good. You know, it also tells the audience that to turn off their.
Well, it's just a pet peeve of mine, being that I see movies for a living. It's just that it's annoying when people
It is.
everything. Yeah, so
It
I
is.
thought maybe somebody had a little pet peeve going on there. So, well, no, when you wrote this, and how did this whole idea come to you? Because I mean, I can see where, you know, a few years ago when we had, of course, the big snafu with the voting. Is that moment? Is that when you came up with this idea?
From the 2004 election, yeah.
And what did you think? Because I found it, because, you know, I loved Wag the Dog, but it was I think it was like a lot dark. We were like a lot darker of a movie compared, but I seem to see a lot of parallels.
Well, I mean, Wag the Dog was done in a less cynical, optimistic period, so therefore we can be darker and cynical. Now we're in an extremely dark, cynical period. So can you be any more cynical than what's going on right now? Can you be any darker than what's going around now? So what happens is everything in its own time. So therefore, my feeling is I need to be somewhat more optimistic, because the other would be too depressing. And ultimately, if you're not going to be optimistic in some way, then the other is unimaginable. There needs to be something that happens to be some sort of change. So this is not an overtly, you know, optimistic movie, but it has some of it, because at some point we need some relief from this rather dark, cynical period we're in.
You know, the one thing I enjoyed about this movie was the fact that it could happen. I actually found it to be believable. One is because, from a man who knows nothing about politics, I would tend to vote for a man that made more sense to me, using humor in the politics, and seeing all these people that are just, you can just tell, are just flat out BSing you the whole time.
Well, we had all the like 400 or 500 extras during the debate sequence, and when they were all filing out at the end of the day, a lot of them were going, you know, I would vote for him. I would vote for him, you know. So I think it's part of our frustration right now that we think that so many of the politicians are really not speaking to us. They're just doing prepared texts, and they're not connecting to us, and we know that they're beholden to special interest groups, and there's a disconnect. So we're frustrated. So we want someone that has like a breath of fresh air in a way.
You grew up in Baltimore, is that correct? Yeah. Now, you're a little bit closer to the hub of all that. When did you first become interested in politics?
I mean, I've always been somewhat interested in it, and then as time goes on, you know, and you get a little bit older, I began to spend a little more time and read a lot more things about it. So I've always been interested, but it's not very often that you can write a film about it, because you can't find the handle on it. Because in the end of the day, you got to find a way to really entertain an audience. In this case, you want them to really laugh and you know, go on this little, you know, ride. And so how do you put that all together? It's not easy. So every so often you hit on something.
And most of the stand-up in the movie, isn't that you're writing, rather than everybody would assume that it was Robin ad-libbing?
Yeah, but I'm also going to take what I can get from Robin, that I can embellish those moments. I can't just go into a scene and just go, oh, let's make up stuff here. It needs to be well laid out, and then you can try to elaborate on it, which I've done everything since Diner. I'm always looking to see how to embellish a moment.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.